Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com coming to you from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Now, on Wednesday, December 30th, Trey Sanders tweeted this quote out: "Please kill this narrative. I'm rehabbing and looking forward to next season. Hashtag Roll Tide." If you missed it on social media, you're probably wondering, what's a big deal? Well, recently, there was an article that circulated that said that Trey Sanders was a potential transfer target for Florida State. Trey Sanders quickly put that out with this message today on social media. So what I wanted to do is kind of break down the timeline of Trey Sanders, who's a redshirt freshman at the University of Alabama, and kind of go through the particulars of Trey Sanders because he's a very talented running back. Season was cut short by a car accident. So here's the timeline of Trey Sanders. Let's start way back in the spring of 2016. That is when then, in high school, Trey Sanders, IMG Academy, 5-star prospect, commits to Alabama. Then in January of 2018, actually on the 1st of January, he decommits from Alabama, opens his recruitment back up. We have to wait all the way to December of 2018 when Trey Sanders does sign his paperwork and is an official pledge of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Then on August of 2019, Trey Sanders suffers a foot injury, misses the rest of the season, so we don't really get to see what he's going to bring to the table other than just some clips that we saw from the beginning of August camp. From what we gather, he has a good spring and summer period. I mean, remember, we didn't get to see any of these guys during the spring and summer because of COVID. Spot plays a little bit during the 2020 season. We're going to highlight those numbers in just a second. But in October 2020, he ran for 80 yards off 12 carries against Mississippi State, kind of his breakout game. And then in November 2020, suffers a hip injury in a car accident. Okay, so that's the kind of the timeline of Trey Sanders. Now, this season for Trey Sanders against Missouri, that was the first game of the season. He changed his number from 26 to 24. He played in 14 snaps, rushed 9 times for just 1 yard. Wasn't a good showing, right? Against Texas A&M, played in just 2 snaps. Really didn't get to see much more of him up until the Tennessee game, where he played in 13 snaps, ran for 39 yards off 7 carries. Thought he had a productive game, right? You could see, you're like, this is the guy. He had a long run off to the side, and you could see what was coming. And then against Mississippi State, 17 snaps, grade of 83.4 on Pro Football Focus, rushed for 80 yards off 12 carries. He actually scored a touchdown in this game. Touchdown was called back because of a penalty, but you get what we're going, right? He was starting to heat up. 17 snaps, grade of 83.4, and then he goes home to visit family, and he suffers a hip injury in the car accident. Very unfortunate way to have his season cut short. So this is the second season in a row that Trey Sanders has had his season cut short due to an injury. Now, is he injury plagued? I don't think so. I think it's kind of just, bad luck. You look at the foot injury, who knows what happened there, the car accident. I mean, things like that happen. So I don't think he's injury plagued by any means, and I think you just need to be patient. I'm glad he put that message out on social media today to kill the narrative that, there might be smoke of him transferring or something like that. Now, rewind to the beginning of this season, even back to that game against Mississippi State. Trey Sanders was the 3rd running back on this team. Najee Harris, Brian Robinson, then Trey Sanders. From the intel that we gather, Trey Sanders brought a lot to the table in terms of being an all-purpose type running back, a guy that could catch the football very well out of the backfield. You've seen Najee Harris do that several times this season. But Trey Sanders is kind of that guy that you could go to, that you could lean on. Now, there's other hungry guys in this running back room. We'll talk about Jace McClellan. We'll talk about some of those other guys in just a second. We don't know what Brian Robinson's going to do, right? He's a senior, and I know people feel that he might go to the NFL draft or he might return. Well, let's just kind of talk about Trey Sanders for the time being in this crowded running back room. I think when you look at Trey Sanders and what he brings to the table, look, if this guy's able to get healthy, there's no telling how good he could be. I think he has the makings to be Alabama's next premier running back. Honestly, I think he has the shake. I think he has the speed. I think he has the ability to make plays out of the backfield. I think it's just kind of, he needs that time, and we're going to see that. I mean, I felt that we saw that against Mississippi State, to be honest, even against Tennessee, like I just mentioned. Now, as you would imagine, it's a very crowded running back room at Alabama, and I think that's kind of the article that was released that talked about maybe Trey hitting the transfer portal, being that Alabama has some guys that are coming up. Look, Alabama's always going to have premier running backs, and you kind of look to the running back room, and you look to this young man, Jace McClellan. and everything that he was able to do this year in limited opportunities. This guy came in, was originally committed to Oklahoma, then flipped late in his recruiting process to commit to the Alabama Crimson Tide. And this guy made the most of his opportunities, nearly rushing for 100 yards on 2 different occasions this season, kind of like the lightning in the bottle. And I think Alabama fans were really excited once he got the football because they get to see a running back that has a top-end acceleration that is extremely fast. Everybody remembers on this particular run where Najee Harris is running up the sideline in his jacket, right, just elated that Jace McClellan is kind of off to the races. And him being just a true freshman, I think, is something to be really excited about. Now, that doesn't take away anything that Trey Sanders brings to the table. You want running backs within this group. You look to another running back in this crowded running back room, and it's Roydell Williams. He spot played this year as well. He's a freshman, 210 pounds out of Hueytown, Alabama. This guy has really good size and another all-purpose back. I think when I look at Jace McClellan, I think I look at Trey Sanders and Roydell Williams, all those guys kind of fit that same mold, right? None of these guys are over 220 pounds. Kind of that all-purpose build type guy that you can get the football out to. They could be a type of scat back, and they have good top-end speed. So don't forget about Roydell Williams when you're talking about this running back room. Another guy that we haven't seen this year is Kyle Edwards. Now, he's listed at 209. He's 6 foot, but I think this guy could maybe play at 225. The guy's absolutely jacked. We haven't seen him other than, his high school highlights. I look to, potentially, him being a redshirt this year. But don't forget about Kyle Edwards because I think he could also bring something to this running back arsenal. I mean, it's a very deep room. And don't forget about Killen Robinson. I mean, this guy was you want to talk about lightning in a bottle. Nick Saban referred to him as the juice, like having the juice. I mean, this guy busted out an 80-yard touchdown run a couple seasons ago against the Duke Blue Devils, and I think Killen Robinson is a guy, we've talked about him several times, and I get a lot of questions about Killen Robinson. Is he transferring? Is he injured? From what I gather, he's not injured, and he's not in the transfer portal. So, kind of when you piece everything together, it looks like an opt-out. Now, if Killen Robinson comes back, he's a different type of back. You talk about like a true scat back because, look, he's at 190 pounds. He doesn't even look that heavy to me, to be honest. I mean, things could change because it's been so long since we've seen him, but he clearly has that top-end speed that you want, adds another element to that running back room. Alabama, as you know, just added Kamar Wheaton. I mean, I'm telling you, the crowded running back room, right? 5-star running back out of the state of Texas. Now, was Alabama always targeting him? Yes, absolutely. I mean, you talk to Andrew Bone. They were talking to Kamar Wheaton. He just kept it really low, kind of a low-profile guy. And now Alabama has the top running back in the country and the number 10 overall player in the nation signed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. So I think when you look at this running back room overall, there's a lot of mouths to feed. You can only distribute the football one at a time, one carry at a time. But the running back room is full of talent. Kind of getting back to Trey Sanders, I'm glad he put this message out. I said this at the beginning of the video. Please kill the narrative. I'm rehabbing, looking forward to next season, #Roll Tide. The hashtag is very important. It means he's going to be a part of this Crimson Tide team, which I think is clearly, I thought that was going to be the case all along. You look at kind of that video on social media where he's in a wheelchair, he's in the locker room, the team is elated to see him, they're really happy. Clearly the guy is happy at Alabama. There's always going to be top flight running backs at Alabama. There's always going to be competition if Trey Sanders can get healthy, which I think he will. Look at the new sports and science facility. Look at how quickly they were able to rehab Jalen Waddle. Look at all these other guys that have been able to go through this rehab process and, just be taken care of by the best in the business. Jeff Allen, Matt Ray, David Ballou, all these guys helping these athletes rehab and get to where they need to be. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We appreciate all you guys right here on BamaInsider.com. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson at BamaInsider.com.